On a bright afternoon, the roar of engines echoed through a private estate where a line of luxury cars gleamed like trophies. Among them sat a red Ferrari, motionless, broken, a symbol of pride turned useless. A billionaire, known for his arrogance as much as his wealth, stood beside it, his eyes fixed on a stranger who had wandered too close. Cameras watched, onlookers whispered, and the air thickened with judgment. No one knew that in the next few hours, what began as a moment of humiliation would unravel into a story the world would never forget, one that would redefine power, dignity, and truth. The billionaire Marcus Ellison had built his empire on speed, luxury, and power. To the world, he was the embodiment of success, his name carved on skyscrapers, his cars known across continents. Every Sunday, his estate became a stage for ego and extravagance, where guests arrived to marvel at the latest machines in his collection. That day, the Ferrari sat in silence, refusing to start. Mechanics had tried and failed, each one dismissed with a smirk and a wave. To Marcus, it was just another test of superiority, another opportunity to remind the world that nothing and no one could challenge him. At the edge of the crowd stood a man whose presence seemed out of place. His clothes were worn, his hands marked by years of labor, his face calm yet unreadable. Some whispered, others laughed quietly, wondering what he was doing there. The cameras followed Marcus, but fate was already shifting its gaze toward this quiet stranger. In that moment, two worlds shared the same air, one polished and powerful, the other invisible yet enduring. The estate shimmered under the sun, unaware it was about to witness a silent collision between arrogance and humility, between the illusion of wealth and the truth of worth. What seemed like a simple car problem would soon become a test of character, revealing more about humanity than any fortune ever could. The afternoon sun began its slow descent, spilling golden light across the estate. Marcus's laughter echoed between marble columns and mirrored glass as guests sipped champagne, unaware that something deeper was beginning to stir. The Ferrari, his prized possession, had become a symbol of his untouchable status, a reminder that even broken things looked beautiful in his world. When the stranger stepped closer, heads turned. His calm presence clashed with the arrogance around him. The crowd's curiosity sharpened into quiet mockery. Marcus's gaze narrowed as the man inspected the car, uninvited but unafraid. A ripple of discomfort spread among the onlookers. His appearance did not belong here, they thought. His skin, his clothes, his silence, they became targets of judgment disguised as amusement. The air grew heavy, charged with an invisible cruelty that needed no words. Every camera phone rose like a weapon, ready to capture humiliation disguised as entertainment. The man's hands, rough but precise, moved with quiet confidence as he observed the Ferrari's sleek body and dormant engine. He seemed to understand something that no one else did, not just about the car, but about struggle itself. Every scrape on his skin, every wrinkle on his shirt told a story of labor, of knowing how things break and how they heal. Yet, in this place of polished surfaces, that kind of knowledge was treated as weakness. Minutes turned into an uncomfortable silence. Guests exchanged glances expecting failure. Marcus's smirk widened, feeding off their energy. The scene was set for embarrassment, a public display of superiority wrapped in elegance. The crowd didn't realize they were watching something much larger than a broken Ferrari. They were witnessing the anatomy of prejudice. The man didn't flinch. He moved methodically, examining wires, pipes, and the faint scent of gasoline in the air. He didn't see the luxury. He saw the machine beneath it. Somewhere between steel and silence, he recognized potential. His focus became unshakable, his patience almost sacred. Each motion told of a life spent fixing what others discarded. Machines, yes, but also dignity. As the sun began to fade, a strange shift rippled through the atmosphere. The laughter quieted, the smirks softened. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Marcus's face. The stranger's composure had disarmed something unseen, an illusion of control. What was once a stage for mockery was slowly transforming into something else, a reckoning. By the time the first stars appeared, The estate no longer buzzed with careless chatter. There was tension now, heavy and expectant, like the final moment before a storm breaks. Everyone was watching, waiting to see whether the story would end as they predicted, or whether, against all odds, the man they dismissed would rewrite it entirely. The night air carried a stillness that seemed unnatural for a place so accustomed to noise. The crowd had thinned, but those who remained could not look away. The stranger stood by the Ferrari, his hands steady, his gaze unwavering. Beneath the quiet hum of crickets, a subtle click echoed, a sound so small it might have gone unnoticed by anyone else. But in that instant, the machine awakened. The engine rumbled to life with a deep, thunderous growl that shattered the silence. The red Ferrari, lifeless for weeks, now glowed beneath the moonlight like a phoenix reborn. Gasps rippled through the estate. Every phone that had been raised to record a humiliation now trembled in disbelief. The air turned electric. The crowd's amusement evaporated, replaced by awe and shame that burned quietly in their chests. Marcus's expression froze between confusion and denial. For the first time, his authority faltered. He had expected laughter, not redemption. The man he had mocked stood still beside the roaring car, unbothered by the sudden shift in energy. The moment was poetic. Humiliation reversed not through revenge, but through quiet mastery. The billionaire's eyes darted between the Ferrari and the stranger, realization dawning too late. The man's expertise was undeniable, his patience a kind of power Marcus had never understood. The Ferrari roared louder, as if declaring allegiance not to its owner, but to the one who had truly understood it. No words were exchanged, yet everything was said. The divide between wealth and worth, arrogance and grace, had been laid bare beneath the glow of headlights. The crowd stood silent, their luxury meaningless against the raw truth unfolding before them. When the stranger finally turned away, he didn't look back. The car continued to purr behind him, a symphony of justice played in mechanical harmony. Marcus remained motionless, watching his empire of pride tremble under the weight of humility. In that single moment, power had changed hands, not through force, but through quiet brilliance. When morning broke, the estate was silent. The guests were gone, the laughter faded, leaving behind only the echo of engines and shame. Marcus Ellison stood alone beside the Ferrari, its gleaming frame now a mirror reflecting more than just success. It showed him himself, stripped of power, exposed beneath the weight of truth. The man he had mocked was nowhere to be found, but his presence lingered in every heartbeat of the machine. Word spread quickly. The videos that were meant to humiliate now told a different story. The internet didn't see a billionaire proving dominance. They saw arrogance undone by quiet brilliance. The clip became a symbol, a mirror to a world still struggling to see beyond skin. Status and assumption. In the days that followed, Marcus tried to justify it to himself. Money, influence, excuses. But none of it could silence the image of that man's steady hands or the calm in his eyes. For once, wealth couldn't rewrite the narrative. The lesson had been carved too deep. Some said the stranger was a former engineer, once brilliant before life stripped him of everything. Others said he was a mechanic who simply never lost his sense of purpose. But perhaps it didn't matter who he was. What mattered was what he represented: resilience, dignity, and the quiet strength of those who are seen last but stand tallest when it matters most. The Ferrari remained parked in its usual spot. Yet it felt different now, less a symbol of status, more a monument to humility. Its engine's soft hum became a reminder that greatness doesn't come from wealth, but from the grace to rise above prejudice and prove one's worth without saying a word. In a world obsessed with power, sometimes the truest strength is silence. And sometimes the loudest roar comes from the engine of justice, finally set in motion.